Hey, yo, chat, we're gonna be sharing chat, so behave yourselves, okay? I believe in you. Don't let me down. Hello, everybody. How you all doing? One second, I'm gonna mute over here so they can't hear me. Chat, we're telling secrets. Hello, chat. Hello, chat. They're amazing. They're look how cute these people are. We have Moo. We have Lou down there. We have somebody else over there. I'm just kidding. Their name's Inky. They're very cool. But hello, everybody. Look at all this joint chatting. There's so many of you. Behave yourselves, okay? Mwah. Love you all. I will not be reading through all the check-ins, but I will also be hiding the cage. So one second. Sorry, I'll be right back.
Don't do it again. No, I don't run. Hi, Nick. Psycho, no.
All right. How's everybody doing? You good? All right. You want to say hi to everybody? Do y'all want to say hi? I'm unmuting. They're not. Why'd you go? I unmute you and you immediately go goodbye. Really?
You told us to say hi, so we said hi.
Oh,
And
there
I
we
said
go. Oh,
goodbye.
music's too loud. Right, let me close out the music. There we go. I forgot the music was playing. But hello, everybody. Hello. Moo, what are we doing today?
We're playing a game that's
I don't believe you.
called UnderMine. Okay, we're not going to play a game.
Sick.
Honestly, I'm here because Mukya put a gun to my head and said,
Yeah.
play this game.
I did.
So when I talk about the water graphics guys being really good, it's actually a call for help.
You know, normally explaining the call for help in front of your kidnapper is not the best move.
Yeah.
No. I think it'll be fine.
You okay over
Again,
there?
Inky. Not right now.
Are you a possum or a piggy? Because I'm hearing them little snorts.
Oh no, she just snorted.
Holy shit. I'm sorry.
Wow. That's fucked up, bro.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Awesome.
Where the fuck is?
I always thought Inky's laugh more resembled like a lawnmower, like when you pull on the cord. I'm just saying.
Jeez.
Count your days, Lou. Count your days. Both of you, you old fucks. Count your fucking days.
You're the one that uses Firefox, not us.
Where is this
Inky,
thing?
can you
I
count?
use Opera.
Oh, there it
In
is.
Portuguese, does that count?
I can talk to you in another language. Listen
Yeah,
up.
hello.
Let's talk
Thank you
about
for the
fucking sign
follow.
language.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're gonna play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it looks
How'd
like we
you
only
like
have two
my-
characters. Really quick, hold on. So
Yes.
these two are new to both of our chats. Well,
Yes.
technically, you're just new. These
I'm
other
new.
two that are on our heads, my chat knows them. Can we do a quick introduction of everybody?
Oh,
That way, like,
smart.
yeah. Let's start with you.
No, these people
Me?
don't exist actually. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. Sorry, do you want more than that?
Oh my
I got
God.
you. Okay, so I'm a VTuber.
So
My
this
name's
is
LuckyJene.
Gene.
I'm
He's
a
a cat
gambler. All right.
VTuber.
I'm not a cat. I will.
He's a wannabe hero.
No.
And he's a very, very good boy.
I'm drinking.
Oh
I have
no, that
Can
sounds
I get a shot, too?
terrible. He's a cat. He's a cat. It's true.
Not a.
Is it milk? Are you drinking milk?
I
Yeah.
have been in your chat plenty of times. You definitely have cat tendencies.
Okay, so
But
I
you're
can't
definitely a
choose
good
a
boy, too.
characters. Oh wait, you have to hit space. I'm so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, no.
Hello, my name is LuckyJene. I'm such a good doggy. Apparently, has been redeemed. I'm a gambler, a writer, a soon-to-be villain. I keep people in my basement. You know, as you do. I mean, how else are you gonna get the partnership numbers? There's too many numbers. That's who I am. I do ASMR,
like to
and I
draw.
do non-ASMR.
Yeah.
I heard villain.
Mhm.
Eyebrows.
And now I'm subbing, apparently.
Oh well. You know, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
Can I check the basement out? Yeah, go ahead, Kona baby, go for it. It's actually
No.
really cozy.
Let me
Very
adjust all
nice.
your volumes real quick. Inky, speak!
Okay.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, it was words. I'm so proud of you. You're good, so good at
know-
wording.
We love basement. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I've seen it.
Oh, we'll go to the basement real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Ooh,
Okay,
thank
so
you
your
so much for the
turn.
redeem.
do it. Okay.
Hi, Raizo. Welcome in.
Sorry, I'll mute when I do that. Y'all be good. Do your thing.
It's your turn, boo boo.
Oh.
Mike?
Hello, y'all. Welcome to the basement. Here it is. See? Ain't it lovely?
I think you guys know who I am. If not, well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, Mukya, the stinky VTuber.
Hi,
She's-
Raizo.
No, you put some
Hi, boy.
respect on my wife's name. She's beautiful. She's a siren, and I love her.
Stinky.
She's lady
Shut the fuck
stinking.
up.
You gotta
Both
put
of
the
those
lady in
things
front of it.
And stinky.
Okay, then go on,
Da-da.
Lou. It's your turn. Come on.
Lou definitely is the only one that's
Yeah.
stinky in this house. We've
So
all kind
I'm a
of established
loser,
that.
guys, and we go to the next one.
And he washes
No,
his
no, no,
bed
no.
sheets with Febreze, so obviously.
Yeah, 100% Febreze. Yeah, 100%. Who needs to clean your sheets when you got Febreze?
I most
Yeah,
definitely am a
bitch.
cat.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah, and he's on your head, Gene. Go ahead.
He
Inky.
ain't on my head on my screen. He's on the ground on my
Wait, what?
screen. What do you mean?
He's on my
Wait, what?
on my screen. He's on your head.
Well, clearly my
Wait,
screen's
what?
more important right now. Ain't it?
Uh huh.
Hey.
Uh huh.
I don't want.
Go ahead, Inky. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, baby.
You can do it, girly pop. You got this. Don't cry. That's for later.
What? Anyway, my name Ink. I do art. I draw a lot. I like character design. I do art sometimes, and it's sometimes good. Most of the time, it's not. To be honest.
How very fucking dare you? It is always good, and it is
Inky,
amazing.
Mike
Oh my
used
God,
to break
Pebble,
down a few words
552
with you.
stinky.
Only I can shit talk my friends, okay?
Damn.
Listen.
Damn.
To be fair, it's
gotta
either a
get through
hit or
one
a
voice
miss.
first.
Most of the time, it's a miss, and then I have to redraw it like 3 times or 4.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it
Oh
still
my
comes out
God.
looking
Yeah, but everybody
fantastic.
starts somewhere, girl.
Yeah.
Bitch, why do I have to start on the fucking
341
floor?
corner.
Bro, if I try to draw someone, it looks like a stick figure all 4 times.
Oh, I fucking love this song. Mm-hmm.
Listen, once we get done with tonight, I am gonna draw us doing some dumb
Okay, good
shit.
job, Pebble.
I'm drawing us doing some shit.
Yeah? What are we doing?
I don't know if we die or we explode in the game. Some shit's gonna happen, bro.
So one thing that I did notice about
Thank
the
you for the
game
follow.
is it's
Thank you,
very
thank you,
like
thank you. Welcome to
90s
the
coded.
menagerie.
Like the colors, the gameplay. It kind of makes me think of like a first-person arcade kind of game. It
Okay.
is co-op. Right now we are doing the play test of the game, so it is still in early access. It is not fully completely out. So there's going to be bugs, it's going to be a little jank. But I think that kind of makes it fun. I'm so used to doing that, I don't even notice anymore. I'm gonna lie to you.
Okay, I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. I made a really bad mistake. I ate an egg sandwich before I did the streams.
Oh no, he's gonna release the demons the whole night. 997. Oh my god, Oxy. That's so stinky. Lou, what the fuck? Why are you making chat so stinky?
Look, my stink is contagious.
Yeah, just like your fuck ass tentacles. Look at
That's
him. Look at him,
Onyx,
little stupid.
not Oxy. We ain't,
Oh,
he ain't
Onyx.
no cleaning laundry powder.
I mean, they could be. What if they washed? Thank you for the
Look,
Santa.
The green in my design comes from stinky. It's the powers
I
of the
don't stink. I don't know. You had 997. I was to call you Oxy again.
I cannot believe you. How dare you do
Onyx,
something
Yeah,
like
that's
Onyx,
that?
I'm sorry.
Honestly, awful, so awful.
It's
All
fair.
right, so we're
So
gonna play this
awful.
game. Well, what are we going to be doing?
Stuff,
Oh, we're just
obviously
hanging out
it's-
here for a while.
Yeah. So we were just introducing everybody to everybody.
All
In my
right.
chat, you can do !collab and you get everybody's links that way. But I think it also works in Jeans if you guys wanted to do that, in case you want to give these three a follow. Obviously, mine is not in there
Hello.
because it's
Mm.
on my side.
Hello.
But everybody is pinned down in the title. Otherwise, on Jean's name, you should see like a little +3, and you can click on their names that way too.
Yes,
I don't know if it works on mobile, but you can do it that way. Okay.
we have two
I
max
have no
stinks.
idea.
Interesting.
2 non-stinks.
No, they say we have 2 max stinks.
The max is
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah.
That's me.
Why do you have
That's
so
definitely
much
Inky,
stink? Why are you allowed that much
Well,
stink?
Inky lives in
In
the
the trash can.
garbage, so
I'm
Oh,
a
that's
literal
true.
trash can.
Listen, you can be stinky, you can be unstinky, but we still accept you as you are. We don't judge here. We just say you stink. Except Lou.
That's
Except-
no,
understand.
no taking it back. You said it doesn't
It
matter.
wasn't.
I'm gonna sit on the couch now. We'll
I
see if it
didn't take
doesn't
it
matter in a bit.
Lou, I didn't take it back.
All right, quickly
I
put down
added an
saran wrap.
exception.
Put saran wrap
No,
on the
no, no,
couch.
no,
I
no.
added
Quickly.
an exception.
Want to get on it?
But if you guys are ready, I'm ready. We can go ahead and we can check out the game. Let's get
No,
started.
I'm so ready. I totally
I'm
have the
never
game
ready.
loaded properly.
No, you don't.
Bro. Gene, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fucked are you?
How do you buy oh, shit.
oh, no, like,
Oh,
oh no,
what the hell?
the game, it's happening.
Okay, get in the elevator to start the UnderMine playtest. Head this way to learn
who
how
am
to
I?
play before you jump in.
I can't tell who I
No,
am.
let's jump in. Fuck
No,
it, fuck
no,
it.
wait for me. All right.
I'm on top of you.
Yeah,
Wait,
here we
that's
are.
right. That sounds right.
Oh, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Go
Wait,
to
who's
next
who?
floor.
Okay, Takoyaki.
yeah.
I understand now.
Takoyaki is Lou, yes.
Yeah, Takoyaki Buster. Put respect on the name, okay?
Oh.
Ah, another day, another floor in the burrow. This one has some fearmongers, a generator, and a few other bits and bobs.
Ooh.
Make it a
Normally,
close.
I would tell you to head right to the elevator. However,
Can we go
I
upstairs?
seem to have misplaced a few bags of my favorite kitty litter.
Ooh. Okay, I got a glow stick.
I got a
Some
book.
bougie kitty litter.
Gimme.
Oh, yeah.
Coin.
Exit.
Fucking beat your ass.
Remember, if you wanna smush. Oh.
Yeah?
Inky, okay.
Yep.
If we want to smush, we're gonna need smush gel.
Smush gel.
Ooh.
High key.
One item in
Dunk.
each. One item in each hand, and then you just smush them.
Hey, yo.
Smush smush.
I do enjoy smushing.
Yeah, smushing is pretty
I
good.
can't say that. Never mind. Never mind.
What can't you say?
Yes, lighter plus hairspray equals heat good.
By the way, lovely, this game is a hand-drawn game. It is
Oh.
very lovely. It looks very
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
But it's
Real
no AI.
emergency
Oh,
generator
hand-drawn.
instructions. Pull lever. See green
No
light
power.
come on.
Okay, so here, like literally, this is the exit. We need to power the generator. Ah.
Okay, I see the green
shift
light.
is
Check out the
run.
symbol by the light. Okay,
All
all
equipment with the same symbol.
I like
should
how me
work.
and Inky are Leo and you two are Hannah.
Damn
as we should
right.
be.
Yeah, be free. Fuck you, dumb bitch.
Bitch gonna match my freak.
Okay, I don't think that does damage.
When I try to cast a spell on you,
Okay,
I just
we
shake my
think.
fingers at it.
Cash out.
Wait, how do we make? How do we do our...
Oh. Okay, so toss is right click.
Oh, there's a lighter.
Oh, smush gel!
Hairspray.
Yay!
We could smush now.
Oh, I can smush.
Oh wait,
Boxes.
thunder. Oh.
Fuck your boxes.
Right.
Thank
I have a
Oh,
lighter.
fuck you.
Cash out.
That is a little oh my god, what are those?
Oh my god.
Ow.
What the hell? What the hell? What the hell?
Oh, there's mini ones.
Guys, I'm kind of scared. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Don't be.
I think I peed a little.
Already?
Again, I'm sorry.
You tried not peeing.
Have you tried?
Yeah? Yeah, have I tried what? When have I tried what?
So,
Huh?
okay, so Inky, so ours, right? Who we are, we're Leo, right? What he does is he has his piggy bank, and you have the coins, and what you have to do is you have to flip the coins, and you can either heal or you attack.
Wait, so
And
how do I
that's
flip the
Ooh,
coins?
this is cute.
So you flip the coin
This is
by
cute.
tossing it. So right click to toss the
How you
coin,
doing, lovelies, by the way? Thank y'all for coming by. You know I always really, really
and
appreciate
then you put it in the bank with E.
I have. Wait, what? Huh?
I want to check in on you.
Are you playing?
Oh,
mouse
this
and
might be a
keyboard?
bug. Yeah, this might be a bug.
Why?
Cause there's nothing on my screen.
I think
Did you
it's-
pick up
you
the
pick
item
up-
at the very beginning?
I don't think she did. Come here.
Did she not pick up? Did you not pick up the weapon in the very first room
I don't think she did.
next to the cat?
Listen. No.
Over here.
There's a
Oh,
cat.
Inky, this way. This way.
Honey Bunch,
there was
come
a
over
cat.
here. You got this. Yeah, I was reading it in British accent.
Here we go.
Get right over here.
Schmoo.
On-
There should be a green.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there you
Oh, look at you. Do so good.
Just pop the bags in the storage bin when you do. Don't take too long. I have important business to attend to.
How do I smush
Aw.
things?
Well,
Okay, so now
when a
do you see
mommy
what
and a
what I'm
daddy
talking
love
about?
each other very much.
Yeah. Cash out. That's
What can we call you as a nickname wise? Me, or are we
There was
talking about
another room in
Mumu?
that other area.
Gene,
Yes.
or are we talking about everybody else,
Surprised you
Mizaki?
guys aren't collecting these things on the floor. The shiny gem thingies.
I am.
Guys, I love you. I love you all. But can we like?
Oh, you can call me Gene, Lucky, super cool man.
Kidding? I'm getting touched.
I found a key
Okay,
card. I
so-
found a key card.
Like I said, you have to flip the coin, Inky.
Yeah, and then I have to
So-
put it in the thing.
Yeah, put it in the bank with E.
I'm doing it. I'm
And then
sneaking
you
with
use left-
portals.
There you go.
I figured it
How
out.
did you equip that?
You hit 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, or 1 or 2 will go through the different items. And when you
I
see the
see.
item, you left click and it'll select it.
I see.
The
Oh, you
game
can
is
call me
very
Lucky.
quiet. is it
Lucky,
not?
Gene, whatever. Not for me.
There you go.
Ooh, okay, what do I want?
Is there a way to pull up your inventory and
Ooh,
merge
lunchbox.
items together?
Damage,
I don't
boost.
think
so. You need to get smush
Damage.
gel, so it's probably equipping the smush gel.
I
what's
looked at the
hairspray
damage
do?
boost. So hairspray is basically you turn it into a flamethrower
With a lighter, right?
with the lighter. Yes.
Okay, or you can just
How
throw
do
it.
I smush it though? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Okay, so so what you do is you go to the thing, the item 1, and
Yeah.
you click it,
Ah.
and then you
I
go to
see,
the
and
other
then you
item.
press 2,
Yeah.
and then Q and E
Oh, my bad.
smushes. Is smush stuff just gum?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's literally just dumb.
No,
Oh,
give
there you
me
are.
give me the kitty litter.
Sick.
There we go. I know exactly what we need to do with this.
I lost
Kitty, I
it.
got your kitty litter.
You're Naruto running. I hope you know this. And it's-
Good. In the store in here.
Oh, wait, can you call me? You can call me whatever you want, darling. You call me honey, darling,
Yeah.
sugar pie. Just don't call not daddy. Daddy's the one thing I don't let people call me because that's a sexual connotation. I'm not a fan of that.
Any
Oh, do we need to
okay, so
find more?
I think so.
How much kitty litter does one cat need?
You
found
got a
it, I
lot of
found it.
poops.
Okay, go straight
got a
ahead
lot
and
of
then put it in the
poops.
bathtub looking thing.
Okay.
Right? How many kitty litter things does your cat go through in like a month, Lou?
Hey, listen, bro.
That.
Like 2?
I don't allow
Alright,
my
then.
cat to poop. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I don't have a cat.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
Lou.
people don't like train their cats to use the toilet. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how with me. Anyway.
Your cat.
Okay.
Where do
Yes,
my
I'm
things
just
keep
stupid.
going? I keep smushing these things
think-
together and they're gone. Every time I click, they just vanish. I smush them and now they're gone.
That might
Well,
be a
stop
bug.
smooshing.
But
Have a good lurk.
I don't wanna. I wanna keep smushing.
No, well.
Oh, Lou's right
Oh,
there.
get with the. Oh. Get with the program, old man.
Oh, key card.
I got
Oh.
a key card.
Yeah.
There's a spray and what's it called here? I think we need more than one key card, don't we?
No, we needed it earlier to get in that room, but
Okay,
yeah.
my lovely Jubal Sis Rochelle
Mm.
signed on your
Yes.
first to know. I can't believe they gave
You can
me a
you can
TV
also
show
come
and
up with
now
like
get to tell us
I would
something
love you to
about
come up with a
the
secret
public, and
name
thank
for
you so
me.
much for giving us an to give me his
You know,
blessing.
like what the
Love,
community
love,
calls
love,
Gene.
love you. I'll hammer out the details and then we can get
I think
hammered
that'd be
together
really,
when
really
I get
cute.
it in a few weeks. Do you?
So y'all come up with a secret name for me. I
On the
believe in you.
show in over my head. What do you think? Okay, that told me nothing. Anything in the oven? No.
That's kind of cool.
Oh, all right. Well,
Move, bitch! Move! Fuck!
Lou, I swear to fucking God.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Do I need it for in here? No.
The key card?
Yeah, I have a key
We already
card.
used it earlier.
Yeah, we already used it.
For the other door.
Don't we need
Okay.
more kitty?
Oh, why is this computer backwards?
I
Why
don't
not?
know.
Okay,
We couldn't pick it up to do anything with it. Okay,
Okay,
let's see.
so the door, the door.
Pull
door.
lever, see green light.
Hold the door.
Oh,
Why-
Check the
why-
symbol by the light. Okay.
Why the
Light
lights
go
go
dark.
off?
Okay, with the same symbol should work. Light switches should also work probably. That's it.
Inky, look out behind you! I'm nowhere near you.
Why is Inky the one who freaked out? Inky's not even close.
I don't like you. I don't fucking like you, you dumb bitch.
Hey,
Fucking
Inky, do you want to
fucking
play,
hate
a
you.
horror game with me?
No.
Oh,
that
the
sounds
cat?
awful.
Any luck finding my kitty litter? Just pop the bag in that storage bin when you do. Don't take too long. I have important business to attend to. Did you put the kitty litter in the storage bin?
Yeah, it's. Wait. They're both in there. This is a storage bin, right?
Isn't there 3?
Oh,
It said there were 3.
there's one right here.
Oh, thank
there's
goodness.
three
You
now.
found it. Now, would you look at that? The
Yay!
elevator doors have unlocked themselves. It's a miracle you can be on your way. Everyone's happy. Hurry now before my number 2 problem becomes your number 1 problem. He's about to shit. Ruff.
Run, 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 run.
Run! Run!
I
He's
ain't
gonna
cleaning
pull
that.
on me! He's about to pull on me! Run!
Where's Inky?
Voidlings,
shit.
behave
Okay.
yourself.
Oh, there.
Be nice to Mukya's chat. Stop setting it on fire. I know you want attention, but there's other ways to get it.
I'm sorry, but I closed chat for a few seconds. We committing arson in here? Yes. We need all the whatever fire emotes you guys have, go ahead and throw them in chat, regardless if it's mine or Inky's or
I just told my voidlings to stop setting things on fire, and you immediately tell them to set things on fire. Never mind, burn it down. I don't care.
Burn everything. Burn
Explode.
everything.
Explode right now. Explode right now.
Burn, baby, burn. Let's go with burn.
Okay. So if you go over here, there's a new spell book or a new item that you can get different abilities if you grabbed at the beginning of the map.
Anyway, yep, let's go to the beginning of the map.
Inky didn't do that, did she?
Nope.
Honestly, the new spell just apparently gives me pain. So
No, if you hold it, you gotta let it go.
Okay.
Or you have to like it charges and then you.
Oh, okay. If you hold it too long, it hurts you. Got it.
Good job, chat. Nice and toasty
cat
in
is
here
sideways.
now.
Bloody typical.
so
The moment I get a bit
warm.
peckish, there's another. I thought I was just joking with him being British. There's another mix-up, and now poor Monsieur Vendy is busted down here. That part of the problem, as you go further down, the perglow becomes less
Nice.
effective as keeping things as they should be. But I think
you're
we,
done here.
meaning you, can find meaning my favorite, find one of. Then find the biggest can of tuna. Okay, we're finding cans of tuna. We're putting it in the elevator with the storage bin.
I found an Omni coin.
Oh. What do you do with the Omnicoin?
I have no
Alright.
idea. There's bigger fish to fry.
That's the way
yes.
out. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Woohoo!
Look behind you, Lou.
That's ominous.
Look behind you.
All right, find the fish can. Lou,
That hurts me. That hurts me.
how you doing, sweetie?
Oh, okay.
Alright.
Sandwich,
glad to hear.
chips,
Trying to find some tuna.
tuna.
Just want some tuna.
What do you want tuna?
We need to find tuna for the cat.
Excuse me.
I did a
What
whole
does
British
tuna look
accent and everything. Did you miss out? Were you not listening to me? I understand it's hard to listen to the British sometimes, but like,
I'm Irish.
yeah, I know. See,
I'm sorry, baby. Were you saying
what-
something?
you don't.
No,
I can't make
why
that
do you guys
joke.
hate the British? Yeah. I know what you are.
It's okay.
So
See,
you
we
want me
simp
to
and listen.
throw this tea into the Boston Harbor? I won't question it, but
No
Hey, listen, it'd be pretty
power. Find generator.
Wait.
Oh my
guys, there's a
god,
cat
Mukya,
here.
we need to find tuna to put it in an elevator that has a storage thing so the cat's happy.
Oh, I think I have it. I
Oh,
think.
you!
I don't know where to check my inventory because I
One,
found some
keep hitting one.
sandwiches.
One.
Just hit
One.
one a few times, you can see all the stuff you have.
Okay,
Get
well
up
I
there.
have a pink. I have two pink
no, I'll die, Inky.
and frog. Okay,
It'd be really
so
funny
that's-
though.
Okay, so we
That's
need to
not
find
what I
the
have.
generator to turn on the power to open the elevator. And then in the elevator, one of them has a storage container that we need to access.
Excuse me.
Oh, bless you. Damn.
No,
you.
you're not. No. Take it back. Undo it.
Generator's
Ow!
on.
Why are you two killing each other?
No.
Alright, we need a blue access card.
Oh.
Nah.
Do either of you have the blue access card?
Go eat. Be good
Nope.
night. No. Wait. Hold
Well, I could try if Inky stops trying to kill
No.
me.
on. No.
Stop blaming me for your incompetence, you bitch.
That's
Yeah, Lou.
crazy.
So why are you blaming Inky for everything? What the fuck, Lou?
It's all
Exactly.
Inky's fault.
That's crazy. Ah.
I've
Crazy.
never
What is
done a wrong thing in my life.
I was
and
crazy
now I
once.
know
Moo,
that's a lie.
spinning pizza help your arson? Yes. Have me spin the pizza, please. Spearing.
Okay, the sandwich heals your health.
Do it, Inky.
There we go.
Do it.
I'm
Oh.
winning this game. I want snacks. Chat, give me snacks.
Do the thing.
Speed.
We need
Oh, the music.
speed.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yay!
Someone clip that and turn it into a soundbite for me, please.
Yeah,
Oh
please.
my god.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that I can have my Inky automatic gun again.
Welcome back.
Second biggest kind of tuna. Wait, no, I said third biggest in the elevator with the storage bin. Really mean it. I'm 80% hungry. Okay, so.
Do you have the access card?
Honui.
No.
No terrace territory. No.
That's funny. You don't
So
need
you,
it.
if you,
Just kidding. You do.
so it looks like you can open certain like lockers and stuff like that.
I was kidding, by the way. I didn't ask for an access card. You're fine. Come on over here.
Oh my god, I would literally hope you explode.
Did none of you try the door?
No!
No.
Well, see, the pompadour kind of absorbs all of the blood flow that's supposed to go to my brain, so no. No, I did
What?
not. Oh. Ah! I've fallen, and I can't get up.
What are these things? I'm scared.
It says critical health. Ask help
I'm
from
dead.
your friends. Hi, Dad. I'm Lou. It's nice to meet you.
Wait, did you eat any of your sandwiches? Those heal you.
No.
Okay, well,
Oh my god.
eat your sandwiches.
I can't.
Okay,
I know,
now
'cause
I'm-
you're dead. Where are you? Oh, look, Kanzakuna. Okay, wait, they wanted. Wait,
Oh my
where are
god.
you?
Wait. Gene, you're very staticky.
Oh, one sec. What? Okay, wait. So they said the third biggest can, right? Okay. Give me a second. I need to arrange these by small to large. Okay. So this is the biggest. Got it. Okay. Wait, so where are you? Because it said help you, but I don't see you. Would you die? Okay. Oh.
Elevator. No, left. I went left.
Ugh, give me a second. I need to fix my audio real quick. No, you're fine. Okay. You can hear me, right? Sweet. Okay, now let's see if this will pick up.
I mean, it's 4 a.m. here, so might
There
as
we
well.
go.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
True.
So
Pretty
wait,
late for
so
you.
wait, you. Oh, there's one person. Oh, it has one of those. Ah, jeez. Okay. What do we think X is? There it is. It's F. F to hold to revive.
Ah, I'm not ready.
Eat your sandwiches.
I don't have sandwiches.
Hmm.
Yeah, I never got sandwiches.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. I'll fight them.
Hi, you.
Here we go.
Ow.
La 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 la.
Shut up, phone.
Shut up, phone.
Shut up, phone. No, my phone alarm was going off.
Got you. Eat your sandwiches if you have sandwiches or any food.
Okay, so for now we literally can't do. You can't eat anything.
No, I'm telling you now to heal yourself because your health is in the top left corner.
Come on.
Nuh-uh.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh,
No?
so that's your health. Okay.
Would it be
you,
unfortunate to
Tibbets.
say I got no
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Inky, here,
Yeah.
here.
Okay,
take
so
one.
he said to put it in the elevator.
Okay.
Has anybody found the
throw.
elevator with a
Can
storage
I
bin?
give this? No. How do
No.
I throw this to you?
Hold Q. You keep holding Q. Eventually, you'll throw it.
Q or F.
Okay,
from-
there you go. There you go, Inky.
I found bandages.
Oh, let me see.
No,
Oh,
throw it
thank you.
blue sandwich right there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's not letting me pick it up. What the fuck? I get up.
Press F to pick up.
Yeah, it's not letting me.
Did you try E?
I think it's a bug. It's a bug. Nah, it's not letting me. I think it's a bug.
Give me 1 second.
All good.
I found key cards.
Nice.
We can save those key cards.
Oh,
Cards.
somebody's been raided.
God damn it. Yeah, Mukya. Yeah, leave my accent alone. Fuck off.
Cards.
Okay.
Carrots.
All right. Get a load of. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm stuck with the 2 unks.
I can
I
go.
found the key card for the door. It
Oh.
worked.
U and E to smoosh.
Wait, where are you?
Ah! He's angry.
Wait, is it toward the exit?
Watch out, Moo.
Aha.
Interesting.
Got him.
Okay.
There's an elevator with a
Okay.
tub over here.
Yes, I did it.
Oh, okay. So they go in there.
Yep. And then there's another elevator
Yeah, for us to leave.
right over here. This one.
All right,
Oh,
yeah,
this
we're ready for the next one.
music is jamming.
Vicky.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I will take your
Yes.
stickers.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you,
Don't take their stickers.
Like
What the
people-
fuck? That's rude.
If they try to eat
Think about-
raiders, I said I'll take their stickers.
Oh,
Like you-
they can eat the raiders.
like
It's Calico. I don't think he'd mind.
like you-
Set fire to the
Don't
raiders.
stop giving my chat permission to be bad. I'm trying so hard to raise productive voidlings, okay?
Oh.
Hey
No, no.
guys, I think you all should explode him right now with all your might.
With your brains, yeah. Just because you're allowed to. Just because we're allowed to. What,
It's
Calico?
okay. I'm the intrusive thoughts in your head. Do it. Do it.
Oh. It's like fun. The wine ant. It's true. Yeah. It's true. I'll tell you how to get away with nothing.
Was that a sticker? Oh no, look at the sticker. I took away the sticker.
Pebbles, thank you for the follow. You are allowed to move. Everyone else got to pay. Oh, I get it, Calico. Okay, okay. I can set you on fire. Got it.
Mhm.
Not my good noodle. Did you
Oh.
take their sticker?
We're done.
Thank you so much for playing. We hope you've enjoyed the short demo. We would have loved to hear your feedback on work so far, so please take a moment to complete our feedback. That was okay. So that was literally it. I thought it was a lot more longer than that. Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
All right, I'll give you back the
Well,
sticker
no,
this
like,
one
what do we
time. But I'm only giving it back to you this once. Can we
What do we
eat
do?
That
the
was
children
a lot
at the
shorter than I
playground?
thought it would be.
Can we eat the children at the playground? I'm taking the sticker back.
Listen. If you're gonna eat the children at the playground, okay, make sure you hide their shoes
No,
at least 6
Momo!
feet down. What?
I'm trying to make good voidlings. Stop teaching them how to commit crimes.
I mean, donate their shoes to Goodwill.
No,
There you
don't
go.
kill
Yeah,
children.
there we go.
Do not eat kids.
Listen to Mukya. Do it. Listen to her.
Yeah,
She
I
knows
see
all.
nothing wrong with Mukya's.
I will let
logic
you
there.
keep the sticker if you don't eat kids,
Don't
okay?
listen to the old man.
Well, we're
Don't listen
not
to the old
saying
man.
eat them, right? Or kill them. I mean, we're saying eat them. There's a big difference.
It's not. It's the same
Don't-
thing.
Listen to Mukya. Listen to Mukya.
Listen to the Siren Devil.
Listen. Is
Gene, I already
it-
know how to
is it
shoplift.
though?
The paperwork hasn't gone through yet. I'm not a villain
I
yet.
won't eat them. I mean, exactly.
No, I say this is the day. Ooh.
So what do you do now?
I don't know. Touch toes. Sorry, my
Yeah,
Okay, let
sure.
me put
I'm
socks
game.
on. Hold on.
No.
I don't want to put
You have
socks
to.
on.
How am I supposed to say I'm a fun guy if we aren't swapping fun guy, you know?
Raiden and hi. Welcome on in, Raiders.
You're hungry?
Cotton candy,
Fine.
hi.
You can eat these Raiders. It's fine.
No, not these ones. Not these ones.
You said they're
not
cotton
the ones
candy.
before either. No, cotton candies gave me a follow.
Yeah, go eat the cotton candy, chat. I believe in you.
Oh, true. I mean, I was gonna say there's cake available if you guys want that. Like today's cake is pretty good. It's pretty good.
Turns around.
Turn around every now and then.
I'm not talking about my ass this time. I'm talking about actual cake. See, it's on the table. It's right there. And they have Christmas cookies, almond wedding cookies.
I don't see the cake.
It's right there, right in front of Jean. Jean's trying to
I
hog
don't see it.
It's mine. You don't get any.
Wow.
Wow.
Big back. Big back.
That's
big
crazy.
back.
Jim, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, welcome in. My name is
I thought we had something special, Gene.
Oh, fine.
So we got cotton
fine.
candy, we got cake. Heck yeah.
We need ice
We got
cream.
pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles?
His name was ice cream.
Villains. Two villains
Fruity
walk
pebbles,
into a
yeah,
room.
fruity pebbles.
What happens? They try to out-villain each other, and then they end up fucking
Yeah.
not
That's
that
it.
No, no,
part.
no,
Just-
stop there,
just-
stop there.
Just fucking.
Yep.
No, no. Oh, no.
Very
Get some
tired, wish
chocolate
to
milk.
be dead to the road. Okay, Jim, go get some good sleep. Thank you so much for the
Don't
raid.
bench press me. That's such a weird thing to be afraid of. Don't you dare bench press me. I wasn't planning on it, dude. Don't you know?
Okay. All right, we won't bench press, but we'll deadlift. How about that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna deadlift. Romanian deadlift.
Yeah.
I
Let's
don't,
start getting
I don't
other
know what to
nations.
do.
American deadlift.
I don't know. I don't know what to do
Perfect.
now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna do doodles while you guys talk.
I don't
Anyway.
really freaking know either. I was
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Wait. All four of us have risk of rain, right?
Yeah.
We could do that.
You know, I did hear that the weather was going to be a little bad tonight.
A little whiskey.
We might
a
be
little
risking a little rains.
rainy,
Yes.
A little whiskey and waney.
Yes.
Okay, but thoughts on the game? Like,
I really liked it. I thought it was interesting.
I think the controls for how I normally play would probably be better on a controller. I think on mouse and keyboard, they're not intuitive personally. But I think on a controller it would make more sense. I think
Hey, Gene.
it would make more sense.
It might.
Yeah.
Gene, stand
Yes.
so.
No one eats
Yeah,
it.
the item swapping's kind of not intuitive. I would have
Stop
liked
fucking
to
moving!
see a different button for that. But
What do
other
you
than
want?
that,
Wait, Iki, what do you need? You need a
coming.
screenshot of him?
Yes. Oh my God! Can you stop moving?
Okay, I got you. Hold on. I got
no,
you.
keep
I got
moving,
this.
keep moving.
Oh
I got
my
this.
God.
Do you need a headshot, body shot? What do you need?
Okay.
If you don't, if you stop moving, you pass out.
I got him. I got him. I got it. I got it. I got it.
I got
it.
one.
Yeah.
I can get another one. Give me a second.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Let
Yeah.
me play the game. I want to risk some rain.
And got another. I got you, Inky. I got two for you. Eyes
thank you,
open,
thank you.
eyes closed, smiling, not smiling. Let me get one more. Hold on.
Oh, you could just get them from my freaking server.
Done. All right, I got
I
you.
have art
got you,
refs.
Inky. I got
Oh
you.
well.
I got you.
I'm
He's
not
having
in there,
this.
and I'm lazy.
Wow. You call me a slur, why don't you?
Pickle.
Inky, the slur slinging slasher.
Done.
Okay. How about let me just say, No, just, I was going to start speaking Portuguese.
Can I get a game change if I have a mod in chat?
Misaki is trying to eat me, Gene. Make them stop.
Okay, Mukya, I know I'm a game changer, but you don't need to tell everyone. God.
Yeah, you'd cancel the game. Let me send these images over
Oh
to
my
you real
God.
quick.
Damn.
Guys, I'm kidding. I actually really
Oh,
love Lou, okay? I just like
don't-
to poke fun at them.
Don't eat
You
cake.
just like to stab me in the heart first.
I mean, you never seem to mind.
No,
Listen,
not
that's what she
really.
does. No, it's
Octopi
okay. That's what
have
she
90
does.
hearts.
That's what they do with most men, and it's really funny because then they start crying, and I think it's funny.
It is
Look,
funny
honestly,
when men cry.
Mukya, I
Uh-huh.
haven't hit my tier quota yet. I'm trying to sell Gamer Boy tiers, so if you could
Oh,
make
that's
me
m-
cry a little harder, you
Oh,
know.
baby, that's not gonna sell. I'm sorry.
Oh. Well, what do I do with these 70 jars that I've already
Give them to
cried
Gaga. He
out?
likes those. I think Gaga needs a nice gift.
No, I don't think he needs any more of those. I don't think he needs any more.
Who ate my
Gene,
leg?
you want 69 bottles of Gamer Boy tears?
Yeah, sure, I'll take it.
It can be yours for $1,000. I'll put it on your tab.
Chat, stop eating people.
Can I tell you guys a really sad story and it made me
No.
like go insane? Anyway,
No, I don't want to be sad, Inky.
well, it's kind of funny. It's more funny. Anyway, so me and Vic were playing Genshin one time and we were farming, and it got so bad
Okay.
that
Join
Vic
the
started
misery.
saying 90. All good. And Vic started saying 99 bottles of beer on the wall, and bro got to 99. And almost like I almost did it then and there, bro. I almost died. Yep. I wanted to crash it so bad because bro kept fucking up. They kept going backwards, and then they went forwards. I'm like, bro, can you pick a struggle?
I could.
There is the
Okay,
lobby
since
key
your cat has
code, by
been
the way.
So nice. I'm giving them croissant.
Okay, I drew
Croissant.
Gene
Where'd you put
and Mukya. I drew Gene and Mukya.
Oh,
and then
wait,
put-
hold on. Inky, are you gonna
Aw.
join us or are you gonna be drawing?
No, I'll join you guys. I just put.
Yeah,
such a-
Inky, come join us.
Come on, Inky, come. Join us.
Inky.
Anyway, put the budget.
Don't stop there. Don't stop there ever again. That sentence needed to.
Chat, I have to show you this. This is so fucking funny. Where's the Inky? Where's the Inky?
Father, we want
thing? There it
snacks.
is.
You're at Auntie Moomoo's house today. They'll feed you.
I'll draw you guys food. Does that count?
Yes. Look, look.
Have my drawings.
It's me, Jean.
It's me, Gene. You're not Gene.
No,
Don't
it's-
lie to them.
I said it's me and yes, I'm Jean now. I'm Jean now.
It's like-
Hold on. Hold on, I got this. No. I can be Jean. I can be Jean. I got you.
Wait, what?
Accept my
There you
game.
go. There, I'm Jean now. Ow!
Why did you change color?
I think you meant meow.
This is
Mukya.
cultural
Meow,
appropriation.
meow, meow.
Yeah, meow meow.
Meow,
Meow
meow.
meow.
Oh,
Meow, meow.
Meow meow.
Are we doing meow comms? Yeah, meow.
meow, meow, meow.
Are you?
Meow, meow.
I like your haircut.
What am I
Meow.
saying? What am I
Meow,
saying,
meow, meow,
Gene? Meow 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 meow. Meow meow.
Meow.
Meow meow meow.
Meow.
You can't
Leo
call me
is
that
very
on
stinky.
Twitch.
Meow.
Base is about to take us out. What are you?
Meow, 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 meow.
Gene, you're not a cat. I'm
We're
not a
not
cat.
in the game yet. You can't meow meow that hard. We're not in game yet.
Join my game.
I already have Lou in my
I
game.
joined. Yeah, I already joined Mukya's game.
Ah!
Wow, your life is so fucking hard, right?
Yeah, it was Mukya's idea.
Oh, I know. Poor baby. So difficult.
Guys, there might be a mistake. I have to update the game.
You got games on your phone?
1 second.
Yeah, honestly.
Lou, you can't
with
do that on
Inky's
stream. What was that
internet,
noise?
Sorry,
Oh,
my
God.
tentacles get a little excited.
Okay, who
Hold on a
wants
minute.
croissant? I got croissant. Who wants?
So wet.
And I'll give your voidling some coffee. I think they need coffee.
No. Don't drink
Here
that.
you go.
Do not
There you
drink
go.
that.
No.
Do
Yeah, I'll
not.
throw in a couple more.
You
Just
want
in
to
case
drink
anybody
it so
didn't get any.
bad. You want to drink it so bad. Ooh.
Drink the coffee. Drink the coffee.
Ooh, drink it.
It's good
Ooh.
for you. Yum yum
It's
yum.
not good for you. It's gonna stunt your growth.
It's so tasty.
Yeah, you'll be you want to know why Inky's so short?
Okay.
Because they drank coffee too early. Don't drink it, guys.
Okay.
No.
Now you want to know? You want to know actually why I'm
Explodes.
short? My dad. No. Here's the reason why I'm short. My mom
dad's an
is
Oompa Loompa?
5'1". My mom is 5'1". My dad is
Right.
5'6". My dad is 5'6". I was fucked from the beginning, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to hear it. My dad and my mom are both under 5'10", and I'm 6'4".
Do it.
So
Run it. Yeah.
rise to the occasion, Inky. Don't
Hey,
let other people hold you back.
yeah, don't let them hold you down.
Yeah, exactly.
One day you'll reach that first shelf in the fridge.
Yeah, at least you still look up to your parents, Inky.
I'm literally top shelf of my wardrobe. I need to use a stool.
Yeah, well, you found the cure for shortness. Honestly, I'm a little jealous because at least you can fit in an airplane.
That's true.
Yeah, you
God.
Riding my pony. Sorry. Sage! Hi, Sage!
Oh my God, is that Sage?
Jump on it. Hi, Sage!
I knew something smelled stinky.
Nerds, right?
Nerds? I've
A
never heard
monster?
of that.
I don't have monsters, but I do have ramune, if you like melon flavor.
You are. You. I'm gonna.
Discorded. Thank you so much for the follow.
Hey, Inky, is the hamster
Please, I
working
got
at your
you.
internet
That works.
company
Excuse me.
almost done with that
Did you update yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have to join the game. I forgot about that. Sorry, we can't join. Wait, let me in.
You should be able to just click on my name in the Steam and then join that way.
You might have to enable crossplay if it doesn't.
Oh,
let you.
yes.
Yeah, because Mukya is a crossplay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Misaki, what's your favorite song from Demon Hunters? What's everybody's favorite song from Demon Hunters? Let's do it.
I like the
was
one
done.
that the little tiger sings.
I like.
No tiger doesn't sing.
God.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I like the song Post.
It's because I changed my hair. You know what? Fine, I'll change it different. There we go. Is that better?
How do you dye your hair so fast? What's your secret?
Siren
Lesbians.
powers. Yes.
Siren powers.
Yes.
Lesbian
that one.
sirens.
Yeah.
No,
So-
guys, I'm on her head. I just changed the weave.
That's true.
Oh,
It
gotcha.
just changes my weave out real quick,
I-
girl.
She
I
got that
wish
tight braid.
you. I wish you told me that before I removed the siren off of like 7 cop cars.
Wait, what?
Idol is so good.
I
Siren
was convinced
powers.
they had powers.
You're.
Inky, did you join yet?
No.
I'm trying to join you.
So, okay, when you right click on my name in the friends list and
Did you
do
learn how to turn on
join
crossplay
game,
yet?
Anyway,
Can you do it? Can you join that way? Or if it's not letting you, is it saying because you need to turn on crossplay?
yeah, I need to turn on crossplay. I'm a little
There you
stupid.
go.
I'm
It's
sorry.
in your
So,
settings.
yeah, go into settings and then there's
Can
should be a
somebody just
little
remote
box to
into her
check on.
computer?
Go ahead.
What?
Go into
Your
settings in the
password
game.
is 8675309.
I almost shit myself. Ooh. Oh,
Look, your song's on.
Whose song?
Everybody from Backstreet Boys.
Everybody, rock your body.
Look, I'm banned from singing in 7 countries. It's considered a sonar weapon.
True.
Rock your
Not all of us
body,
can
right?
sing. Okay.
I'm ready. I'm in.
Rock your body.
Oh, we go. Let's do it.
I'm in.
Everybody, rock your body right. Backstreet's back.
Lou,
Alright.
stop trying to tentacle Inky.
I'm not trying to tentacle anyone.
Just keep hearing them flabby little tentacles over there. What are you
Alright.
doing?
I don't like you.
I was trying to get people to hurry.
All right, what are we doing? Who's what? What are you?
I would like to point out that I have only played this game like once.
Hi, HK.
All right, so we are gonna set it to monsoon difficulty.
That's the only way to play.
Artifact of
We're
command,
doing
artifact of sacrifice,
choose
artifact of
items.
swarm.
Yeah, so we're doing choose your items, monster spawn double, monsters drop items. Where's the one?
The artifact of soul. Wisps emerge from defeated monsters.
Soul,
bottom right corner.
soul.
Circle with a little circle on top of it.
Wisp.
Or yeah,
There we
yeah.
go. Perfect. Yeah, that's the one we like. All right.
What are the artifacts?
All right. So
we
choose
have-
your items. Monsters drop items on death. Monster spawns double, and wisps.
Oh, that's
And
Yeah, well, they
so
spawn with
funny.
half
wave
health.
them around like it just don't care.
How do I leave?
Damn.
Oh,
Leave. Press E.
yeah, I got it. Trying to remember.
Hey Mukia, guess what? Guess what?
Chicken butt.
This is so fun
Yeah?
already.
Yeah. I
I'm
swear to
so
fucking God.
happy.
If you do that to me while we're fighting the boss, I am leaving. I am unfollow. I'm leaving. I am unfollowing. You bitch. I will kick you from this immediately.
This is my favorite character.
Listen, Gene, if you want to be a villain, you got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but see, Lou just likes to be a shitter.
Why
Yeah.
am I trying to fill Lou's
it-
shoes?
Yeah,
no, wait.
Yeah, I got big shoes. They're size 14, men's.
Ooh, you're one size above me. Nice.
Oh yeah, the very big shoes to fill.
Oh,
At
no,
least
but
they make good designs in your size. Like they stopped making good designs at 13.
Yeah. Well, I'm 13 wide,
Listen,
so
I'll
it's like,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, they're just
you get
like
the negatives
almost.
of being a 14. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, it
Listen,
looks like
listen,
you could
always nice
really
to
use
that.
a box, Gene. Here you go.
You guys know
Ooh,
what they say about
box.
a man with big shoes, right?
What do I do with the box?
big
They
personality.
have big toes.
No, expensive ass shoes. I ain't paying for that shit.
They're not that expensive.
Listen,
Yeah.
here's the thing.
Alex.
With villains, right? There's always different
Yeah,
archetypes.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the Saturday cartoon villain, right? That's what he is.
Yeah.
We need a real villain.
I'm okay. Excuse me, Dr. Doofenshmirtz is a real villain. Okay,
He's-
okay.
for all the
And poison.
Tri-City area or Tri-State area.
Yeah, exactly. Curse you, Perry the Platypus. I'm practicing.
Oh, hello.
Everybody, rock your body right. Ah, I'm frozen. All right.
Has
I don't
anyone
have to
Oh
play the
yeah,
game.
way to go, chat. Way to go.
What chat do?
I just realized I've goofed up.
Well,
has
May
anyone
not be
had any
goofing.
items?
yes. Yes, I have. Do you need items, baby? You haven't gotten any?
Yes.
Okay, come here, Kiki.
I see
Come over
one.
here.
Oh,
Luke,
wait.
back the
It's
fuck
like,
off,
who are you
Lou.
talking to?
Inky, I'm talking to Inky. She's my baby.
Please.
Over here, Inky. Over here. Over here. Okay, this one right here. See this white thing? These are the items.
Oh, okay.
I died.
Yep, and then you pick an I'll get you.
Oh, you get it.
Oh, we should have had the one turned on that when one person dies, everybody dies.
Oh, that would be really funny. But you can be a drone now.
I can be a drone.
With my clothes
Yeah, they've got
on.
the drone thing now.
I came in through the window.
Oh, what the heck?
Night.
Yeah, they added that with the new DLC. You can be a drone now.
Told you that.
I don't listen.
Yeah,
to
but I said it, so he heard
Oh,
me.
you know what? Fuck you too.
Look, I have a difficulty listening to people that aren't.
I'm not that was purple.
Wait, there's no
I guess
way.
I'll just never talk to you again. So, Inky, what do you want to do after this? You want to do something? You want to go hang out?
Can I draw?
Wait,
Yeah, I
wait,
wanna
my
draw.
Yeah.
my drone can take
Yeah.
items.
Yes, and then
Yeah,
it'll be applied
so
to your
I-
character. Inky,
so-
Inky, take the
so-
screen one.
Oh, I feel like such a dick right now. I didn't think it was good.
Oh shit! What the fuck did I do?
What does this do?
Fuck you, I took it.
I got a red.
Well, ain't no way you got a red.
As a little drone, I can't
That's
even use it right now.
Crazy. No, you actually get to use the items as the
Oh,
drone.
wait.
Like if you get the big boy drone, you get to use that shit.
Mine.
Thank you for the snow. Sleeping with my clothes on.
I only have temporary items.
Wait,
I'm
which one of you
taking
need
those.
heals?
Probably Lou.
Where are you, Moo? Don't move.
Oh.
Come here.
No.
Oh, fine. I won't heal you then.
I didn't need healing.
Everybody needs healing sometimes.
No.
Everybody has.
Oh wait,
those
sorry,
days.
sorry. You don't want to talk to me, right?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I take it back. I love women. Okay.
It's okay, me too, Gene. Move, bitch, bro. She's mine.
Oh, thank you for the follow.
I
Welcome to
only
the
wanna-
menagerie.
I only want to talk to Inky. Probably not with the glove.
Get your discount fucking habit ass out of here. I don't know.
I
where I'm
love
going,
all
guys,
women
I'll be
and
honest.
some men.
Oh, who hit it?
I like all women and all men.
It might have been me.
Lou, we weren't even ready.
We're ready.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm now realizing my mistakes.
You got
You
this,
were
Lou.
not- you were
1v1
not-
them.
Go, Lou.
I might have doubled
If you
them,
die,
by the
I'm
way.
gonna
It's
laugh at
fine.
you.
Go, what?
Nah.
Oh yeah, I doubled it too.
Lou will never die.
As he dies.
Take a piss real quick.
Nuh-uh.
Open the cage.
Take this
You can
one,
pee
Inky?
in the cage. There's a pot over there.
He peed it.
John. Hi, John. How are you?
Ah! Holy moly! We're running. Running.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Did you
I
die?
didn't know.
Yourself, bro.
Oh,
I didn't know we. Woo! I didn't know we
I'm so
activated that
active right
many
now.
Shrine of the Mountains.
Oh, it's fine. Oh, I want this. Oh, stop hitting me. Thank you.
Should we help him, guys?
Shit, that's what I'm doing.
Guys.
No. No, don't touch me. No, don't touch me there. This is my no square.
I got this. I'm doing so much work right now.
I believe in you.
You got it. Ah!
You're
Oh
huge
yeah, I'm
with
so locked
right
in.
opinions.
I'm huge with right opinions. Hey yo.
I don't know how to say it.
You don't know how to say
I'm
what?
scared. I'm scared. I don't know.
I can't. I'm gonna die.
No, don't touch my bone. This is my no-no zone. Oh, I like that.
I'm taking that, thank you.
No, it's mine.
The fuck? The
Fuck.
future is now, old man.
Ah!
Yeah,
That's, how
exactly.
Inky,
Ooh,
that's what
ooh,
Inky says
new
before they kill me.
generation, Ooh, new generation. Ooh.
Cell phones.
Ooh, cell phones. Ooh, fast internet. Ooh.
Economic recession.
One of them's down.
I'm doing so good.
Two of them are down.
Oh, that is insane. I can't believe you've been in that many streams. Well done, Poison. Proud of you. Fine, all of you can get out of the cage to pee. Go pee in Moomoo's chat, though. I want
No,
to clean it
You
up.
guys can come to.
I
No,
actually
you guys
have bathrooms, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can come pee with
And
me.
I use toilet
Everybody can
brush
go
to,
pee-pee with
clean them.
Inky.
Yeah, pee with me.
Yeah, but Inky takes forever, dude.
Wow, Inky, stop taking so long to pee.
No. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. You can take as long as you
One's
want.
down.
I'm on TikTok. I just like my funnies. It's where I find my best memes. And I think like. I'm gonna
Okay,
be so
how many
honest,
people
bro.
actually take their phone into the toilet with them while they're going poopy? Like,
She
oh,
has
me.
bathrooms. Whether we use
It's
Moomoo's
called
bathrooms is a different
shitposting,
question.
Mukya.
gross. I don't want to fucking see your shit posting, bro. Because that's literally what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. See,
I'm gonna be so honest with you guys.
it's called shit posting and it's art.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. One of my best drawings I've ever made in my
Definitely
life was
not
an idea
art.
from when I was taking a shit. I'm not even gonna lie.
So proud of you.
I was taking the shit of my life, and I was like, "Damn, this idea cannot peak."
Stupid.
I'm so happy you find that so funny.
Moo, you okay over there? Oh, hey, look,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of these
I
greens.
was
Let me take all
focusing.
of them. Give me a second.
No way.
I got it. It's fine.
No way. you.
Okay, it's fine. I got him. Thanks all. You
How
all.
do I know what's good? How do you know what's good?
Oh, aw.
So for Huntress, you want to build speed and defense. So from the green items, Inky.
All
what I would
crossbows?
get,
Ukulele.
I would do the ukulele.
No,
I
no,
would
no.
do the glass
No.
jar thing. I
You
would do
need-
life steal.
Don't do ukulele. Do glass jar because you get final shots with it, and you want crowbar to increase damage.
Yeah,
I-
you're right.
I think I did it. I think I got it. I think.
What about this last one? Was it 3 each or 2?
I didn't take any, so whatever.
Oh, Mukya, there's one right here.
No, you guys take them. Fuck you.
No, you take it.
Oh
Fuck
no,
you.
Mukya, please.
Ooh, refreshing beverage.
Oh, Mukya is also like swimming in items though.
Oh, okay, never mind. It's
Oh.
fine now.
Yeah, you take it.
Yeah, Mumu has so many
Yeah,
items.
Mukya is like.
Mumu, why do you
I'm
have so
gonna-
many
I'm gonna
items?
carry you.
Really? I have 15. You have 20. I'm the one that's swimming in items.
Why'd you take so many
Guys,
items, Mumu?
Don't
What
look
the
at.
heck?
Don't look at how many I have. Don't look at how many I have.
Okay, I guess we're leaving. I asked that early. I'm curious too.
Oh, the
Ooh.
dumb voidling box can only be redeemed once a stream.
What does that do?
It's a
I won't
secret.
press any more buttons. I'm sorry.
Well, you didn't even ask if we're ready to go. You just do it.
No.
Rude
Just
ass.
chaos.
Why is there white stuff on your floor, Mumu? I've never seen this
That's
map
fine.
before.
I don't know. I don't
That's
know,
frosty.
Gene. Why is there white
She lives
stuff
in
on
a
my
cafe.
floor?
I haven't been
She
in your
lives
It
in a
room.
wasn't there. It wasn't there earlier.
I
What did
don't
you
use
do?
it.
Likely story.
No, I will tell you. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I am guilty.
It
I
was
ate all
Lou.
the frosting. It was me. I ate all the frosting. No.
Inky. You know, if you want the frosting, you just take it. I don't care if you take my frosting.
Listen, I got hungry. My fat ass, my big bag.
You got
Big bag,
hungry.
big bag.
Uh-oh, hungry.
Big bag, big bag.
What the fuck are we listening to?
Me? I mean, no, I mean, yeah, wait.
No, not you, Inky.
I'm so
It's
powerful.
never you. Oh, thank God.
Oh, if you
Give
ever
me
need
this
healing,
orange
just like
item.
run towards me.
Oh, okay. Where are
Yeah,
you?
give me a good fucking orange item.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, you can stand in the green. The green heals.
Here we go, here we go. Satellite radio, here we go.
Are you playing engineer?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I figured like
Engineer.
I'll help out.
Engineer.
Anyone find any items?
I found an
Not
orange
yet.
item, but that's it.
What's worse, finding poo on the walls of a bathroom or having carpet in the bathroom?
Carpet in the bathroom.
Carpet in the
Carpet.
bathroom. There's
Carpet.
black
Yeah, 'cause
mold
at least you
underneath
can,
that.
like, because at least you can clean up the shit. You can't, like, clean up the fucking carpet.
I can
I mean, you
remove
can't. You
it.
just have to tear the whole thing out.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
die?
No.
Oh.
Lou's about to.
Lou, don't die.
Nah. Lou's not gonna die. Lou's too good at this.
Lou's
doesn't
about
believe
to
in
literally
death.
die.
Yeah, death is honestly for the weak.
Yeah, stop being
Okay.
weak. Yeah. Inky. Specifically Inky.
I don't know. I don't know. So far, Inky hasn't died.
What? Who? I haven't either. What?
Yes, you have.
Yeah, what?
No. No.
What blasphemy are we speaking right now?
What's this do?
Me when I
What's this
fucking
do?
lie.
I haven't died.
Wait,
I haven't
wait, so what
either.
items did you guys say? What item?
Crossbow is going to do high single shot damage, which you do a lot of single shots. And green, you want the jar. Also, you can pick. I mean, do we want to just start over and do just like random items?
No, I'm dead.
You're dead? I got you. I can get you back up.
It might be better just for Inky to pick up items and learn the items.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it a while ago. I'm just trying to remember because
Yeah,
they
no.
told me.
Yeah, I mean, random items is a little easier though.
yeah, let's do
'Cause
random
you,
items.
You just
Moo moo.
What?
We have to die.
You
Mumu,
should.
kill
I
yourself.
can't say
What?
that.
No.
Oh no!
You know what? Just for that, no.
No, we need to kill ourselves. We have
I hope
to.
you know the way my fucking face dropped when you said that. I can't even lie, bro. Oh my god, I just shit myself.
I can't die. Somebody kill
I'm
me.
literally standing still, begging for the sweet. Stand still near me.
Okay, what are we doing?
We're
Are
dying so we can start
starting
over, so
over?
we can do random. We can do random items.
Okay.
Yes.
Mukya.
Oh, but you can't. Okay. Well, now I have to join
Posters of
you.
envy
Mukya
guys in
blew
the
up the game.
bathroom. Misaki, you need something to look at. You know, you're not just gonna sit there on the shitter and not look at something,
Join
right?
Mumu.
I have to actually close the game, I think.
No, you don't. You're in character selector.
No, you don't. Oh,
No, I'm not. I was
You
on
were.
a blank screen.
Oh, you
Oh.
broke it.
okay. We'll wait.
Explode right now.
Explode.
Explode.
Here, if you give me some cheese and wait a few hours, I can do that.
I mean, shit, me too, bro. Oh, guys, I'm not even gonna hold you.
Talking about
Those
the
extra-
posters or the posters, quote unquote, those are in my room. So if you're seeing those posters, you're in the wrong room. The bed
Stop.
should have been a dead giveaway.
Stop pooping in the bedroom.
I'm sorry.
No.
Inky, you
No,
can
no,
poop in
no.
your bedroom. I don't clean that, so that's fine.
Oh, you guys want to hear a funny story that I told on stream today? You guys want to hear a really bad story I told on stream today?
Yes,
Yeah, what story?
always.
Okay, so I used to live in Brazil, right? I was super
Uh-huh.
like 6 for 3
Join
years. I
on
lived in
Gene.
Brazil for 3 years. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't have him on Steam.
You try to join in on me. You might be able to join in that way.
Oh, okay. But I used to live in Brazil,
There you
6-ish,
Wait.
like that age range.
Uh-huh.
And one day I was in school, you know, just doing my activity.
Wearing maid dresses. Uh-huh.
Tell me why my pants feel heavy, and I just realized I shit myself in class. No, I felt nothing, just shit myself. And I started crying, and so the teacher cleans me up. Okay, cool, love that for me. And they gave me new shorts, new everything. Okay, I'm a little kid, bro. I'm traumatized.
Mhm.
Anyway, so again, I'm a very pasty fucking kid. Can barely speak Portuguese in Brazil. The kids used to bully the fuck out of me, bro. They used to call me, I don't know how to say it in English, but like branquinha. If anyone knows what that means, shout out to you guys. This one kid used to relentlessly bully me, like chase me around the courtyard kind of bully. So he's chasing me. I'm still not feeling well. I'm still not feeling good. I'm not too hot right now.
Hmm.
And I think it's called a jungle gym when like kids like swing and climb and all that. I think
Uh-huh.
that's what they're called.
Mhm.
We're climbing a ladder. He's right behind me.
Oh,
You can see where this is going. Yep. Yep. Anyway, so that happened. So I shit myself again.
Mhm.
On purpose this time. No, I'm joking.
Shit, I wish. I fucking wish, bro. What the hell? I can finally say I shat on somebody. I shat on my bully. Fuck you. But no.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I literally had to walk out of the fucking school with only a towel.
Wait, who do I pick?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's
I didn't
my
press
living
it this
story.
time.
Oh, I'm engineer.
Or I wasn't the
Dang.
first one to
Fine.
press it.
I didn't hit ready either. Who hit ready? Moo, did you hit ready?
I saw
Mumu.
someone already hit ready, so I was just like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, that was me
ready.
too, but I didn't hit it first.
Yes, you did.
My tragic anime back.
No,
I shit myself. Excuse me.
As happens sometimes. It's okay.
Oh, I'm dead.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Did you die?
Yep.
How'd you die already?
I accidentally hit a challenge totem.
Ah.
I'm dead.
Oh,
Is that what happened? Is that why everything's so crazy right now? Crazy right now. The judge getting crazy right now.
oh my god. No, I'm not. I live!
No!
Ah!
Gene died.
Adult.
Quickest run
That
ever.
was so good.
Alright, let's pay attention.
Yeah.
Bro, the way Lou fucking flew, help me.
That's
Okay.
hilarious.
He's so majestic.
I don't have her.
Oh,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
choosing your items?
Actually, I'm
No,
gonna
we're
change
doing
the character.
random for that was the
Inky, so
entire
that's-
point why we were starting over, Moo.
I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention to you.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay.
She really
Okay.
just said eat shit and die.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
I'm so sorry.
You know, I'm ready. I've already chosen my character. Pick your character. Let's go.
Don't rush
Say
me.
something?
Even
Don't
Pick faster,
rush me.
Inky.
I don't know if that has
Are you?
It might not
Inky,
work
you
on the
have
stream.
time.
Oh, okay.
Pick whoever you would like. You have 45 seconds.
Yeah, you have 40 seconds, 39 seconds, 38 seconds, 37,
What do you say?
36,
They got-
35, 34.
Inky, remember, you have power in my Discord. You could easily right-click mute them.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, she would.
Because you're my friend.
Hey, listen, I've done it. Now, who decided that?
I did.
Oh, cry me a wiver. Wiver?
A wiver? A wiver? Yeah, a
Cry
wiver?
me a wibble.
Cry you a wiver?
Is it next to the
Whip-
care?
I don't fucking
Cry me a wibble.
Everybody
Oh.
immediately.
I'm gonna tweak. I'm gonna crash out. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So like a
Where am I?
regular
Where are you?
Tuesday then, right, Inky?
I need health. I need health, please. Please. I'm getting touched. I'm getting touched.
Sounds like you need life alert.
Both cool
Because
days,
you're
yeah.
about to fall and not be able to get back up.
Cry me a wibble. Let's hit this at some point.
Oh, the shrine? Heck yeah,
Does
let's
anyone have
do it.
health? Does anyone have health?
Come towards me. Come over here. I can give you some health.
Must
Right.
punch
I've
things to
unlocked-
stay alive.
There you go. That should have healed you a little bit.
I got an oddly shaped opal.
An oddly shaped opal. What the fuck does that even mean?
It's oddly shaped. It's opal.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You grab one of you, motherfucking. There you go. I don't remember what oddly shaped opal does. Do you? Reduce damage. Oh, first time you're hit. Okay, not bad. I'll take it. I'm activating a thing.
Okay.
Do not activate it a second time. They need an adult.
I need an adult.
What happened, Inky? Oh, you're fine.
I'm just being difficult.
Punch, 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 punch,
Punch,
punch.
punch, 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 punch.
It's me, the man of one punches, but I punch many times. Just one time each
One
time.
punch. Near, 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 near.
Oh, you hit the golden totem thing. Okay. Have fun.
Thank you.
I'm helping.
Hey, Mukya.
Uh-huh. What's up, baby?
Do you have any health, please?
Yes. Come here.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I have like 8 more seconds, and then I can help you with that. 5 more seconds.
Hey, Gene, take these.
Ooh, yes, please.
There you go.
Oh, let's see. Oh, thank you.
I'm
Oh,
in
we
the air.
got 2 of them.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we're doing double monsters.
Oh, that's right. You're right. You're right. You're so right.
Yeah.
Ooh. Got hit across the galaxy. Oh.
All right. Let's hit that. Nice.
I don't know why. I just got the
That was a
human
fun
urge
time.
to play Warframe now.
I feel that.
Are you okay, Lou?
Lou's dead.
Nope. No, I'm not.
Literally, I see you dead right now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Prove it.
No! The stupid frozen
Well?
stupid thing. Ah.
Well,
I was coming to heal you.
I hate the ice thing. I could have survived. I would have survived.
It's like a tragic love story.
No, you.
all right, we're gonna have to deal with them, Inky, because they're not dead.
Mini crash out. Yeah. A little bit.
No. Fuck off, you big bastard.
I'm back.
You guys back?
We're back.
Yeah, Seeker can bring people back at least once per stage.
That's right. I forget about that. Mainly because I use the selfish ability.
Yeah. Well, you can still charge it all the way and still bring them back as long as you.
Oh,
can
with
do
the
it
selfish
already.
ability? I didn't know
Thank you for
that.
the hydrate.
With the selfish ability, what do
He
you mean?
Yeah, they
replaces
have
the
the
loadout.
secondary ult. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I use the other one.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm playing with people. I always make sure I can bring them back.
Fall. Stop flying.
Is it a bad time to say my wrist hurts?
No? Are you okay?
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm just being a shitter. It doesn't hurt that bad.
Oh. Okay. Well, if you do need a breaking key, you can. You've been streaming for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Only 1 hot minute though. Let's try for 2.
Dude, I started playing Rivals again. Oh my god.
Why? Why do you hate yourself?
I love playing Rogue. I love.
I keep getting the sales star and I forget we aren't playing chess.
Yeah, no chess.
There's still like you can open red chests.
Oh, you're right. Okay. You're so right.
Received bliss. What is that?
So who needs their totem?
I used mine.
Oh.
Who needs a what?
Have you grabbed one of these, Inky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Moo, have you grabbed one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Guess I'll grab one.
Owie, owie, owie.
Yes. Ooh.
I will say it's kind of funny that we all thought that the oh no. Oh no.
It's just the Beetle Queen.
Yeah, she'll be
What does
fine.
that mean?
She's a queen of beetles.
Beetle Queen's she's just a bigger beetle.
Big girl.
She does beetle things.
You know, sometimes I'm like, what if I was a cockroach VTuber instead of a possum?
There's a few of those.
Because, you know, I like cockroaches. I think they're neat.
They're interesting.
We used to get them in Brazil a lot.
Cockroaches?
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. La cucaracha. La
Until
cucaracha.
cockroaches start paying rent, I don't like them.
I mean, most roommates probably don't pay rent. Let's be honest. Smile. Heart emoji.
There's a hapu feather for here, somebody, whoever didn't get one.
Yoink. Thank you.
Keep freezing.
Well, stop freezing. 5 head.
It's so
Get
cold.
warm. Get warm. 5 head.
You're so right.
Yeah.
How could I have been such a fool?
How are you gonna
Yeah,
be
exactly,
so rude?
stupid dumbass. Why you gonna be
Because it's
so
Saturday.
mean?
Imagine if ever cockroach, mouse, rat, and spider combusted at
No.
contributed to the rent.
Yes.
Spiders work though. Spiders take all the bugs you don't want in your house and eat them.
Yoink.
Excuse me, sorry. Ah.
Okay, we ready?
I think.
I'm not
yeah.
pressing the button. I'm just asking.
I think so. I don't see anything else.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
You, you can call. My name is Remy Lebo, but you can call me the Gambi. Sorry, I just saw such. Or chat.
I need to stop drinking coffee.
Royal, thank you for the kiss.
Spider
No,
kiss,
I think you should
spider
drink more
punch.
caffeine. And no, you should mix. You should mix coffee, Monster, Red Bull, and G-Subs and see what happens.
Not until G-Sub sponsors me.
Yeah. Have a good lurk, Void.
G-Subs just needs to sponsor me first. And then maybe.
Aw. I wanted my hapu feather. I guess I'll take that.
G-Sub sponsor me!
La 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 la.
Wah.
Wah!
You sound like you just took a line, bro.
They did.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
I did.
How'd you know?
What, you spying on me?
Yes.
I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls. I'm in your walls.
Do you see the rest of chat there? Apparently they keep sneaking off into the walls.
Oh, I don't know, man. My trash can just kind of, there's a dimensional traveling thing. It just kind of pops in different places that have trash cans.
You calling my room trash?
No.
I mean, did you not just throw cans into a corner of your room?
But that was one time.
No, I mean like
No,
literally
I
like 5 nights ago he did.
Yeah.
One time.
There's only like 30,
I mean,
50 cans in the corner. It's fine.
Exactly. Inky, come over here to where the rest of us are. Never mind.
Gina's a
I
can
got put
mountain.
on the census. I turned into a victim.
Y'all, I don't mean to keep grabbing items. I just keep accidentally falling into items. Are y'all getting items?
Not really.
I can make my own if I need them.
Okay.
Yeah, temp items.
Yeah. Better than no items.
Yeah, I'd rather have no items than temp something that's only going to go away after a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a minute, Inky. I can get you up. I just have to
No, you're fine.
charge my thing.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to.
It's really
hop off.
inconvenient.
I might have to dip out because
So
it's
you
5
don't want me
a.m.
to ever res you? Okay. Oh, you're leaving?
It's 5 a.m.
Have a good
Oh, yeah, no.
eeps.
That's so fair. Have a good night, Inky.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Goose
Like,
night.
yeah. Can
It was nice
somebody
meeting
in chat do exclamation point ink in chat, please?
Yeah. Somebody ink in chat.
Oh no, you guys made me ink.
That's crazy. Inky isn't even an octopus.
They
I
just
just
do that
a little creature.
sometimes.
A little creature, little guy.
Like this. I'm gonna die. There we go. Oh,
And I
sweet.
really appreciate you having me on, Mumu. Thank
Of
you.
course, girl. I will have you in chat as often as you want to be in chat with me. Not in chat, sorry, in call.
I'll have you as often as you want me.
Just
Yeah.
got me kicking my feet and shit, twirling my hair. What the fuck?
Which is literally all the time.
Yeah, true.
Kicking your legs.
Have a
Yeah.
good sleep, baby. Night, night.
Good night. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Rolling around at the speed of round. Got places to round, gotta round.
Round.
Bro.
Round. Round. Woo! I'm here to get funky. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time.
Just one.
Slide to the left.
Yeah, only one. Any more than that, then you gotta pay a fine.
Yes. Wait, we ready for bosses?
We have 2 mountains.
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
I can't find the boss though.
It's right here.
Oh. Activate it.
Okay.
I'm coming. Blazing Stone Titan.
Oh shit.
That was the change. That was the
Oh, it's a
change.
blazing stone titan?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Coming over with as many items as I can carry, and hopefully it's enough.
No, it's easy. Don't worry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Holy crud, I just knocked him so far away. Sent him flying. Oh, we have the lepton daisies. Nice.
Rolling around at the feet of round. Good night, got places to go, gonna follow my rainbow. Dun 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 dun. They are here and rescue me.
They're hop with other.
Oh, look, there's a bunch of items. Y'all want to pick up some
They're
items?
stealth kits.
There's also some like boss legendary items. You want to grab one of those?
Okay, well, I grabbed some.
Okay. Can I grab this neural?
Go for it.
Beautiful.
I'm just gonna sacrifice a stealth kit or two.
Can I scrap this real quick? Because I get bonuses for it.
Okay,
That's
what does this thing do?
77.
Heal
The
for
stealth
percentage.
kit?
No.
Oh.
No, I'd rather have this. I was just looking at these orange items to see which one I actually wanted.
Oh, that's fair.
Yay! Anybody want those last 2 stealth kits?
I'll take them. I can turn them into health regens, so.
Go for it.
I just need to go to the scrapper real quick. Let me do that.
I don't know where it is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all the way where we started.
Ah.
I'm running!
Well, we can hit it whenever we're ready to leave, I guess. That's
We'll go scrap.
ours.
How you doing, Moo Moo? Katamiya, why are you still awake? Go to bed. Did you stay awake the entire stream? Oh, so you woke up. Okay. Okay.
This morning. Good morning. Guten Morgen. Oh, I hate not picking my own items.
Sorry. Okay, I'm ready.
I'm gonna scrap a few.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do the same thing.
Let's go.
Go to bed at 1 a.m.? Yes.
That's insane.
Exactly.
Okay.
Katamiya, you didn't stay awake all night, did you?
Are you all ready, Gene?
I'm ready.
Jumping.
All right, so when Moo's ready.
Just hit it whenever.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm running over right now.
Jumping.
Should we go straight to the end?
I'm doing good. God, I hope.
God, you hope what?
To the end?
Oh, yeah. We could also go to the blue and then just take the void exit.
Ooh. I can live in there.
Oh god, I'm about to die.
Yes, I would rather have this.
Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here.
You're good friends, 'cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping.
I died.
Okay, hold on. I didn't get a chance to charge up my thing.
You're fine. I was just being stupid.
Oh, you fucker! Die! Thank you. And you.
I died.
Okay. Okay.
You got this, Moo.
Okay. .30 and the thousands jumping. Minute home. Ah, fuck. I can't get out of that.
I'm droning it up.
Out. You fucking bitch. Can you, both of you die?
Wait, where's
Well, we
Mumu?
already
Actually.
died.
Not
Yeah.
you! Not you!
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That you would
what?
say that to us,
You know
Mukya.
what? You know what?
I do know what.
I'm gonna save my thing for my last one and just not bring it back.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Wow, Scoop.
Like, wow.
Reaper! Hi, Reaper! Thanks for the raid! Give it away this year. Get the fuck
I'm
back in
back.
here.
See?
Yeah, get in here, Gene. And I guess Lou.
Wow. You gonna take
That's
that?
crazy. No, not really. I'll just cry about it later.
Valid.
Oh, so he's gonna take it.
Yep.
No.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It just means I'm gonna cry about it later.
Yeah, you're gonna take it and cry about it later. Cry. Cry harder. Cry harder.
That's crazy.
That's about
Okay.
right.
How could you say that?
Uh-huh. Like this. Cry harder.
Oh.
Can I not freeze for 3 seconds?
No.
Why is there so much ice?
You said you were warm. Ooh, glasses.
I
Give me
did
glasses.
not at all.
I don't know. Chat, that's what I heard, right? I heard Gene at some point say, "Wow, I'm warm." No, sorry. My bad. I heard, "Wow, I'm hot." And I was like, "Yeah, you are."
Yeah,
That's what I heard. Right, chat? That's what I
Practically
heard.
toasty. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totes. Wow.
Exactly, yeah.
Totes my goats.
Beow, beow, beow.
My client would like to say, prove it.
Yeah. Prove it.
Yep, definitely. See, they're agreeing with me? Why would your chat lie to you? That's crazy.
Wow.
That's
You ask
crazy.
my chat.
I was crazy once.
Yeah.
You.
Me, yes, I'm right here. What would you like?
$300.
All right, chat, you heard him. He wants $300.
All right, we're starting it. I'm starting the
Make it-
boss fight. Let's go.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Adam, you know
Oh,
where the boss
joy.
is, so good luck.
I believe in you. You got this, everybody.
Okay. All right, I see where you are.
Now we're toasty.
Musty. Oh shit.
Hot,
I fell.
hot, 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 hot.
Hot damn. Roof.
Beow, beow, beow.
Fire burn, fire hot.
I can out damage them.
You can or can't.
I can. Every time I
Okay.
do damage, it puts up a shield, a temporary shield on me. And so I'm keeping myself alive by sheer punching.
No Hapu feather.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
I feel robbed. Not a single fucking Hapu feather.
Oh right, you lost yours earlier, didn't you?
If someone ever says magma is just hot, I'm gonna be scared for that person.
Magma's
Oh.
just hot?
Magma's just hot, bro.
What?
I was kicked out.
No. Oh, yeah.
What? Did you both
Oh.
get kicked?
Yeah. I'm in a lobby with just Lou.
Oh. Well, I guess that ends
You need to
this.
turn it in and see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, guys, you need to turn in those adoption papers. I'm hiring. Could always use more staff.
Well then, I guess it's the end.
Oh, that's fair. It's pretty late for you.
It is way late for me. We're 2
Yeah.
hours past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's super late for me too.
Poor babies.
I didn't realize the Fuji's got so badly messed up.
No, it looks better scuffed.
I need to see. Hold on, don't change it yet.
I
wanna
removed it. I
see.
refixed it.
Oh,
Now it's pretty.
chat. Take screenshot. Let me see.
All right.
That was good. That was
I
fun.
put Moo Moo in
Kind
a
of
cage.
sucks that the what's it called game was so short.
Yeah, it's
right.
alright.
I wasn't expecting it to be like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was expecting at least an hour, at least, but we did that so quickly.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just kind of pro gamers.
Maybe we're Lucar! Yeah, maybe we're just that good. This is so
Yeah.
true.
Maybe.
I
With me on the
adopt
team,
us?
we're
Oh, yeah, I'll adopt
definitely
you.
that
I got
good.
you. I'll adopt all
You
of
know
you.
what? You're so right. You're so right.
And then we had Gene on the team, and we were just doubly as good.
Yeah.
True. Hi. So this is like my normal time, so I'm probably gonna keep going.
Oh.
But yeah. If you need to go though, I know, like you said,
Yeah.
it's 2 hours past your bedtime,
I will
and
raid you.
Lou, I know it's really late for you. But
Yeah,
really
I got-
quick before you guys go, can I have you guys introduce yourselves one more time to the chatters who may or may not know you?
Yeah, I'm LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, and a soon-to-be villain. I do ASMR and chaotic gaming, and I keep people in my basement.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Andrew. Yeah, you do. It's crazy. I have to constantly throw croissants down there. It's crazy.
I am
Thank you
a
for feeding my
loser
people.
and a
Thank
current day
you.
felon. Smile. So we're all good.
We got a villain and a soon-to-be villain. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm. But thank you guys for playing. I had so much fun. Patty, patty.
And here is here are my lovelies. Take care of them.
Yeah. Take care of them.
Okay.
Teach them how
I-
to do all the crime.